Much like a Model Y hitting an expensive private jet, the share price of electric vehicle manufacturers is suffering some turbulence this week. Also, more trouble at Rivian. In the wake of confirming Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter, Tesla stock has closed down over 10% today. This midweek plunge has wiped over $100 billion off the company's value, more than twice the price of the Twitter purchase. Not wanting to be left behind, both Rivian and Lucid have lost around 9% value too. So generally a rough day for the EV market. The risks of more COVID disruption in China is making the market wobble. I'm not giving any financial advice, but do you use Robinhood or Public? Might be a good time to take a look at the current share prices. In a break from stories of Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, there's news of a rogue Model Y summoning itself into an aircraft. A video showed on Reddit shows a Model Y allegedly using the summon feature drive into the tail section of a Cirrus Vision SF50. Coming in at around $2 million, this isn't going to be a cheap obstacle to bump into. Having spent many years on the ramp of airports all around the world, I genuinely can't imagine what made the summon operator think this was a good idea. Driving on the pan normally requires an additional driving test, and allowing your $60,000 to $70,000 vehicle to operate itself seems moronic. I digress. Summon is part of Tesla's full self-driving suite. It's designed to do things like drive from a parking space to the front of Target whilst it's raining and you're carrying lots of bags, or maneuver out of a tight parking spot or garage. As driving a vehicle remotely currently isn't necessarily the best idea or even legal, Tesla has fitted a dead man switch. In order to summon your vehicle, you tap a button within the mobile app that causes the car to start making its way towards you. If you see an obstacle, threat, or any reason the maneuver is becoming unsafe, you literally just release the button and the vehicle stops immediately. Meaning the operator here either wasn't watching the path of the Model Y, or was, and is an idiot. The incident with the ironically named, unfortunately named Vision Jet could be caused by the lack of forward-facing sensors projecting at the roof height of the car. Having removed radar from its vehicles, Tesla relies heavily on camera arrays and, to an extent, the ultrasonic sensors on the bumpers and wheel arches. The lack of sensors higher up definitely exposes someone to risks such as a partially closed garage door or, I don't know, driving under a monster truck. The facts are the training models probably haven't taken aircraft tail fins into account. The vehicle shouldn't have been summoned there, and the operator is a fuck. As a reminder, full self-driving is a bit of a misnomer. The advanced driver assist function should be treated no differently to autopilot found on the Cirrus and every medium and large commercial aircraft. It is a system to help you, but not do everything for you. And at some point, it is going to try and kill you. That's from experience of Boeings and Airbus. They always find a way to try and kill you. Moving on. So remember, if you're using Summon and it looks like it's about to go wrong, just let go of the button. It's far better to do that and it'll leave your car stopped in the middle of the street than hitting someone or something and causing damage and or pain and or legal expenses. Last week, whilst toying with the Twitter board, Elon also found time to take aim at Microsoft founder Bill Gates. As a leading proponent of transitioning the planet to sustainable energy and a vocal advocate of reducing the effects of man-made climate change, Gates had shorted Tesla. Betting $500 million that the share price will tank doesn't seem to be backing Tesla's drive to increase the rate of electric vehicle adoption and reduce the motor industry's greenhouse gas emissions. Shorting a stock is essentially where you borrow stocks, sell them at what you hope is a high price, and then buy them back when they drop in value, returning the shares to the original owner and profiting the delta. For many years, the market failed to forecast the massive success that Tesla would have, or identify how their modern approach to being an automaker would allow for 32% margins, something that really is unheard of in the automotive world. Now, I like Elon Musk. I appreciate his humor, but I can also see how ad hominem attacks don't paint him in the best light. Sadly, I think the purchase of Twitter may only empower him to increase the frequency of these sorts of exchanges. And I genuinely worry that he is becoming stretched too thin. Elon Musk is known to spread himself thin and let it affect his mental well-being, as we saw through the days of near destruction of Tesla as production was attempting to ramp. Right now, of course, he has the Boring Company, Tesla, Starlink, SpaceX, Neuralink, the Tesla bot. There's an awful lot going on in his world, and I really personally wish he would focus on engineering and getting products to market. Now, moving on to Rivian, a great company that makes really good-looking cars that seem to work really well, but a company that seems to dig itself quite a few holes. Are Rivian about to get sued? Well, I stumbled across this looking at EV headlines, and it turns out there's a bit of a groundswell in the Rivian shareholder world. According to Bazinga.com, Securities litigation partner James Wilson encourages investors who suffered losses exceeding $100,000 in Rivian to contact him directly to discuss their options. The post claims Rivian's IPO at $78 per share, or roughly a $12 billion valuation, was based on the company failing to reveal key facts about the business. Unbeknownst to investors, the registration statement's representations were materially inaccurate, misleading, and/or incomplete because they failed to disclose, among other things, that the R1T and R1S were underpriced to such a degree that Rivian would have to raise prices shortly after the IPO, and that these price increases would tarnish Rivian's reputation as a trustworthy and transparent company, and would put a significant number of the existing backlog of 55,000 pre-orders, along with future pre-orders, in jeopardy of cancellation. A very long statement with not enough punctuation, if you ask me. It continues. As a result, the price of the company's shares was artificially and materially inflated at the time of the offering. Now, soon after the IPO, Rivian did indeed raise prices of the R1T and R1S by 17 and 20% respectively. Did they mislead the market though? Were they dishonest? Did their valuation? It looks like a court is going to have to decide this. And it's just one of a number of risks to Rivian's products and reputations right now. During a recent factory tour, CEO RJ Scaringe told reporters that there is a huge gap in the supply chain on the horizon. He said, put very simply, all of the world's cell production combined represents well under 10% of what we will need in 10 years, meaning 90 to 95% of the supply chain does not exist. So there does appear to be a number of hurdles going from the current few million electric vehicles produced a year to scaling up to tens of millions being produced. The demand continues to increase, the supply chain just cannot keep up, whether it's chips for all cars or whether it is battery supplies. There are constraints that are going to restrict the growth of the market. And after Elon Musk suggested that Tesla may enter the mining industry, I'd expect to see Rivian partnering with battery suppliers to probably build out new factories both in North America and further afield, China. But for now, the Rivian share price is down at $30, down from $78 at the IPO, which is a big drop. In a late update, Rivian are going to delay production of the more complex models to try and increase their quarterly numbers. In an email sent to customers, the EV company said, for both R1T and R1S, we're prioritizing Black Mountain and Forest Edge interiors for the soonest deliveries, with Ocean Coast deliveries starting later this fall. The light wood in Ocean Coast is more challenging to produce, so in order to move faster, we are focusing initially on producing with Black Mountain and Forest Edge. Now, if you have a pre-order and you've been expecting it to arrive soon, I can understand how this is deflating. However, I really think at this point, Rivian needs to start shipping vehicles to customers in order to continue to be a company. Today in Best of the Rest, Corvette to become an electric vehicle. Chevy is building an electric Corvette. Well, maybe. On LinkedIn, GM President Mark Roost, we'll call him Roost, announced the electrified Corvette would be built and brought to market as early as next year. Great, I thought a pure EV Corvette would be insane and could easily challenge the Tesla Roadster specs. Then I watched the video. Did you hear that? There's no high-pitched whine of an electric vehicle, but there certainly is the growl of a big Chevy block. Obviously, we can't tell if it's the standard 6.2-litre V8 or the 670 horsepower 5.5-litre V8 that was unveiled in late 2021, but there is definitely some dinosaur juice there being converted into noise, heat, and power. I've never driven a Corvette, but I'm pretty confident that this hybrid electrified Corvette will be more like having an overtake button on a Formula One car than, say, an all-about-town Toyota Prius. Roadsters add that the fully electric version will be released using their Ultium platform, but no more details were revealed. GM plans to produce only zero-emissions vehicles, so electric vehicles or those powered by hydrogen fuel cells, by 2035. And an all-electric Corvette has the potential to be an absolute beast. In the same post, Royce goes on to mention improvements to the built-from-the-ground-up Ultium platform. GM have found a way to recover heat from the battery and use it to condition the cabin, which obviously has two main benefits. Actively removing heat from a charging battery will aid in maintaining a higher rate of charge for longer, thus reducing the overall time spent at a supercharger, or wherever non-Teslas charge. And secondly, avoiding draining the battery to condition the cabin affords up to an additional 10% range for the GM EV fleet, allegedly. The Ultium platform remains a bit of an unknown, with only a few Hummer EVs out in the wild, but with a setup that allows the 9,000-pound Hummer to drag its fat ass from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, it's got to be a real powerhouse. Of course, when you look at the efficiency of the Hummer, which has a 293 kilowatt-hour battery pack and achieves about 300 miles. It's disappointing. I think the MPGe, or the equivalent MPG, is about 40 miles to the gallon. So not really impressive, though a big improvement of the old H2. But really nothing to write home about. That's it for this supercharged update. Hopefully the stock market will rebound and we'll see Tesla stocks continue to soar, and that Rivian will either not get sued or it will get settled in such a way that the reputation isn't damaged too much. Let me know what you think about the potential scandal around the IPO pricing for Rivian. And if you're interested in driving an electrified Corvette, I think the idea is fantastic. Consider subscribing if you made it this far through the video. A like and a comment would be appreciated as well, and I will catch you in the next one.